is known for oranges, huh? I see. Okay, let's go.
Okay, you
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
The story of the orange begins in Southeast Asia, China, India, and Burma.
Mm.
And once the trade routes were opened, it was made available to the rest of the world.
Oh.
Now, when Queen Isabella sent out her explorers,
Mm-hmm.
they each had to take 100 sour orange seeds with them on their journeys.
Mm.
The sour seeds were a lot stronger and more durable than the sweet orange seeds. And the whole reason for this being that they didn't know what scurvy was at the time, but they knew by eating citrus, it would keep the explorers healthy while they were on their journeys.
Mm.
So when Columbus landed in the West Indies, they had these seeds. They just dropped them wherever they were camping.
Mm.
That's why they call it groves and orchards. They didn't plant it in rows. They just dropped the seeds where they were camping, and the seeds took hold and started sprouting trees.
Oh.
When Ponce de Leon landed in Florida,
Mm.
they dropped the seeds all the way up the coast, ending up in St. Augustine. And all these trees took hold and started to grow. Some of them lasted for well over a century. So that was the beginning of the oranges in Florida, as far as
Oh.
just growing. Now, the commercial end of it began in Cocoa Beach, around Merritt Island, with Colonel Dummett, Captain Dummett, who was partook in the Seminole Wars. He started the first commercial grove. He took the sour orange trees that were growing from the Spanish, grafted them with a sweet orange tree that was found at Oak Hill in an abandoned sugar plantation. Spliced them together and started the commercial business as we know it today. Think about it, in those days there was very few roads and no bridges. So
Yeah.
everything had to be shipped up north. They put them in old recycled wooden barrels and cushioned them with Spanish moss. But by the time they got to the northern markets, a lot of the fruit was ruined. But when Henry Flagler brought the railroad down in the 1890s, it made it more feasible to bring the fruit up to the northern markets quicker, and so it established the commercial growing. The Indian River area goes from Flagler Beach down to West Palm Beach. It's a unique area because of the rainfall, the soil, the climate, and the water table. It has a high water table. Citrus likes to be moist, but it doesn't like wet roots. So what happens is the roots, instead of going down, spread out. It stresses the tree, and what happens is there's smaller and less fruit on the tree. But there's a certain amount of sugar, and because of that, each piece of fruit has more sugar and is sweetest in not only Florida, but the sweetest in the whole world.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
in the Indian River area.
Wow.
Even in the 1890s, his fruit commanded $1 more a bushel than the rest of the fruit in Florida.
Wow.
And what they did is try to use the name Indian River, because they realized it was, in such demand. And in 1930, they put a cease and desist order on that unless you're in this Indian River area, you weren't allowed to use the name. So that, kept the Orange County and Polk County were some of the largest growers in the state, but it wasn't the Indian River area. But the largest production was in like 1976 and 77 in the state of Florida for its largest production. And there were different reasons. In the 20s and 30s, they had the medfly that would put a hole in the fruit, put its larva in there. The larva would eat the fruit and destroy the fruit. You had the citrus canker, which was more of a cosmetic problem, but it still affected the fruit. But they were able to, control that. Everything went up and down, but stayed relatively strong in this area until 2004. We had 4 hurricanes that came through this area and just about destroyed the crop. And plus it brought, because of the wind and rain, brought back the citrus canker. So in 2005, they went down to the nurseries in Miami. The nurseries in Miami were the ones that spliced the roots. Okay, this is a sour orange or a sour lemon rootstock that they combine with the sweet oranges. So the rootstock is strong enough and impervious to like a lot of the bugs, and then you have the sweet oranges stock, you know, that they splice together. And that's the way the Florida orange trees are grown. So they went down to Miami where this splicing is done and brought up trees from Miami, not knowing at the time that they had this Asian citrus silvus bug from China, which is the citrus greening that they're dealing with today. And they spent, and you can see how small it is. It's the size of a piece of rice. So what happened is they brought those trees up, not knowing that this bug saliva is deadly to the trees.
Wow.
It'll chew on the leaves will curl up, eventually it'll affect the branches, and after that the roots, you know, in the course of 5 years,
Wow.
the tree is dead. And these orange trees that were once 50 feet high by 50 feet wide would produce fruit for like 50 years for oranges, 40 years for grapefruits. So in the course of 5 years, a lot of them were dead.
Wow.
They spent millions of dollars trying to do hydroponics. They're putting these like a shield over the trees, a netting over the trees, trying to stop it. But they haven't been able to really contain the you know, that bug.
So there's no answer yet.
No,
to this
no,
one.
and you can drive out Route 60 or Route
Wow.
70 across the state and see the healthy trees that are still growing, and then some trees that are just all, you know,
Mixed up.
you know,
Wow.
and you know, and that's the part of the problem.
Wow.
So in the meantime, the developers came in
Mhm.
and said, "There's a lot of people moving to Florida. We're going to give you a lot of money for your land." And a lot of the families said, you know, fine, we've had enough. So there's a handful of families that are still doing it now. It's more of a novelty, you know, it's a smaller production. This year is the smallest production in Florida since 1945.
Wow.
And there's half the acres that are being used for citrus that there was 20 years ago.
Wow.
Disney sent in agents into Orlando, which was Orange County, which was one of the largest citrus producing areas. They had them buy out little tracts of land all over, and the people didn't know it was Disney. Kept the prices low.
Yeah.
And by the time they knew it was Disney, they had bought up all that, you know, large tract area there.
Wow.
So there's a lot of factors.
It's Disney himself?
No,
Oh, his
it's
company.
His
Oh,
co- well,
company.
it
Yeah.
was, he was still alive, but
Yeah,
it was
he's
his
still
field,
alive.
right?
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
still
yeah.
alive, but he sent in agents, you know, real estate people to buy out little tracts of land in Orlando, but nobody knew it was him buying it because by the time, they would have raised the prices.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So by the
That's a
time
good
they knew
idea.
It was Disney. A lot of that area was bought out.
Yeah, that's a very good idea
So
because
there's a combination of reasons why. At one point, Florida was the largest producer of oranges in the world, and this is the California orange. Okay, it's got a better color. It's grown at a higher, more arid, you know, area. It has a heavier skin and a better color. That's what you can get in grocery stores. These are the Florida oranges. They are green because of the chlorophyll, but they are white. They don't pick them before they're white. It has a thinner skin, and but it has 25% more juice than the California oranges. 98% of the Florida oranges are made into juice.
Pardon me, what?
Into juice.
Oh, I see.
In California had it, you know, up until the late 80s, early 90s, with the environmentalists didn't like them using these anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So what they do now is if they're expecting a freeze, they'll spray everything with water.
Yeah.
Okay, because the water will freeze at 32 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a freeze this past winter where it got down to 30 degrees in Vero Beach, which is cold for us.
Yeah.
A little bit, actually 40-degree weather is great for the citrus. It gives it more sugar, and that's what makes it orange color, the cool weather. So we had a freeze that luckily didn't get down to 28 degrees for 4 hours. Will kill the fruit.
Aaron and me bought this, but never have a group. I saw the flower, but never have a group.
It has to grow into a tree before it's really working.